Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home. Today I have an exciting 4K review to do for you. We're going to take a look at Spartacus on 4K Blu-ray. Hey everyone, so thanks for coming back to the channel. Today I'm actually using my new lighting and the new microphone, so hopefully things look and sound better. Let me know in the comments. I'm still playing with some stuff. Today, like I said, we're going to take a look at Spartacus on 4K Blu-ray. This is actually the 4K Steelbook, Best Buy exclusive. This was sent to me by HiDefNinja, so props to them again for hooking me up with this awesome Steelbook. I highly recommend checking out their website, but they have been great with getting me these sort of exclusives to show off for you guys on the channel. So this is the same 4K that you'll be able to purchase on July 21st. There's just this Steelbook variant available at Best Buy. So either way, we're looking at the same disc while I'm doing this review. Now, the first thing I want to jump into here is to talk about the visuals. And one really interesting thing I did after I, watched the movie was on the 4K disc itself, there's an awesome documentary special feature about the restoration. And the team at Universal did an absolutely incredible job and had so much to say about this. And this was a recent 4K restoration, so if you're at all interested in that process, I highly recommend you're checking that out once you get the disc. But I learned a lot about the way the film was shot and how it was shot on 35mm, something called Technorama, which is where they actually flip and have the film image horizontal on the frame so that you get a wider scope. And so it's kind of like that Panavision, like wide scope frame. And I also learned a lot about the transfers and what they did. So again, highly recommend that. But this transfer was worked on by a huge team at Universal, and they painstakingly went through the original camera negatives, the original reels, rescanned them all at 6K, then converted that to 4K for this 4K digital scan. They cleaned up all sorts of elements by hand, literally pixel by pixel. This documentary blew me away. And cleaned up scratches, recolor graded, and they had notes from Stanley Kubrick actually back in the 90s when they did the first restoration, and they have notes on how he wanted the film to look, and so they could really dive into that with HDR color grading. And overall, this thing just looks fantastic. And this is exactly why I talk about like these older movies, when you go to look at them on 4K for the first time with HDR color grading, if it's done right, they're an absolutely incredible experience. This, again, is right up there with Jaws, is right up there with 2001: A Space Odyssey, right up there with Lawrence of Arabia. This is an absolutely incredible 4K scan. The detail on it is like, it looks like it was shot yesterday. Like, you can tell it wasn't because it's obviously got a little bit of grain and, definitely the way that things are shot, it's just different back in the late 50s in 1960 when this came out. But man, if you didn't tell me when this came out, I mean, it looks so clean. Color grading that they did is incredible. It's really smooth, really natural skin tones. The sand of the desert looks awesome. All the reds and blues and greens, and they all just pop and are so perfectly balanced. And I have nothing but good things to say. Universal is right now sneaky climbing their way into that Sony Warner Brothers territory, where their recent 4K releases have been absolutely incredible, and where they're tackling Jaws and now Spartacus, two huge movies, culturally, socially significant movies. They're really making a case for becoming the top 4K remastering studio out there with these releases. This thing really, I can't say enough good things about it. It is an excellent visual presentation. I highly recommend you picking this up if you at all have an interest in the movie. This is as good as it gets on 4K. I'm so happy. We've gotten so much great stuff lately with Columbia Classics and what Universal's been doing with Jaws and now Spartacus, and diving into, we have a Hitchcock collection coming. Like, 4K is really, I feel like, starting to catch steam, and it's going to be with those older movies. And one of the interesting things they talk about in the documentary on this disc is that what they're actually doing is they're kind of creating a new digital backup, because these camera negatives only last for so long. They start to degrade. Even the ones they were working with were faded. They had some color issues. They had scratches, marks on them. They were incomplete. they were cut at different times, and so things didn't match up perfectly. Like, there's a lot going on, and what they're doing is it's almost part of a preservation, is they're taking these original negatives, scanning them into 4K formats, giving them a new color grade, preserving them digitally as a backup, which will last forever for the next 100 years. But then we're also benefiting as collectors and as home theater enthusiasts because those transfers are making their way onto disc and being sold to us. So overall, just a super interesting documentary. A lot of people ask me, how does the 4K process work? Sit down and watch this 10-minute short about the restoration. They go into way more depth on this one than they did on Jaws, and it's really interesting, but it is so good. Visually, this is a treat. You guys, if anybody out there saw this in theaters back in 1960 or has seen a 35 millimeter print, I think you're going to be very, very pleased. Now, audio-wise, what they did, again, they talked about this in the documentary, but there was a mono track to begin with, and it was like a mono surround track, and the audio guy got into some really complicated technical stuff about how it was a different, really interesting audio track that I didn't fully understand, but it was like this mono surround track, and it had a few more channels, but they were all being ported through the mono source. And he was able to take that, they played with it, created a 5.1, and then actually created a 7.1, which serves as the base for the DTS-X that's available on this disc. And it does sound amazing. It has that really clean, like orchestra right in front of you sound. The score is awesome, dialogue is super clear, and the DTS-X object-based, that surround sound, technology really gives it a lot. It delivers a lot of benefits, and if you listen to the 5.1 or the 7.1, you're going to be fine. Like, those are going to sound great. But if you do have a receiver that can play with the DTS-X and take that 7.1 source and play with it to get to that next level, you're going to have a really good time with this. I thought it was an excellent audio release as well as visual. The score really is what stands out to me, and that's what I truly look for in these older movies, is score and dialogue, because effects and things like that, just they're not as pronounced as they are in movies now, where they're making movies for 5.1, for 7.1, for movie theaters with 27 speakers in them. They're creating movies with that in mind. They weren't necessarily back in the day. So, the surround effects are great, but are they like super pronounced like a more modern movie? No, not really, but that's okay because it really flows. And to be able to take that mono track and turn it into this awesome DTS-X experience is really it's something to say for the Universal team. They did an excellent job. And again, dialogue is something really important in older movies, because I talked about this with Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Sometimes the audio kind of trails off the screen as people move around the room, and not the case here. Really clear audio, excellent audio, and the dialogue was sparkling clear, everything. I can't say enough good things about this. It's a great release. Now, the package I have is the 4K Steelbook. So here's the front of it. We get the back here. I do like this. It's, again, pretty minimalist design, which is what I like on my Steelbooks if I was going to get them. And then on the inside, we've got some more stuff going on. The 4K disc has some new artwork. The Blu-ray disc included does not. Also comes with a digital code, which knowing Universal should redeem in 4K, but there were some issues with redeeming Jaws, so I'm wondering maybe they're running into some issues. I know personally my Jaws copy did not redeem in 4K, and Universal hasn't been able to get me a 4K copy yet because I think I got rid of the slip, and without the slip they won't let me upgrade. So be careful, hang on to the digital code slip here just in case that happens, but it should redeem in 4K on Movies Anywhere or Vudu. So that's a nice little addition to have a 4K digital copy to share with people. Yeah, I mean, overall, a really nice package. And then the special features, the bonuses on the 4K disc. There was an interview with Kirk Douglas. There was some stuff about the restoration. And this is all on the 4K disc, which is really cool. And there were a few more behind the scenes featurettes. Again, my favorite was definitely the behind the restoration of Spartacus, because as somebody who does this on YouTube, and I'm sure you guys who watch my reviews, it's a very interesting process that we don't always get to hear a lot about. And so it was very cool to see that on video and get 10 minutes really in-depth behind the scenes. So again, I highly recommend watching that special feature when you pick this up. So overall, this is again one of the best releases of the year for me so far. This This would be right up there. Like, this is the type of transfer that would belong in a Columbia Classics set. If Universal was to do a Classics set, they have Jaws, they have Spartacus. They're 2 for 2. They're killing it on their classic movies lately. And I'm really excited to see what they come out with for some of the rest of the stuff. And what we see for these older movies, like the Hitchcock movies that are coming out. And there's just every day we're getting new announcements on 4K titles. So things really seem to be picking up, which is great for us as collectors. And, you know, as more studios look to back up their film reels in 4K or even possibly 8K digital, we're going to see more 4K releases hit the market, because if you're going to spend the time and money on it for preservation, you might as well put it on disc and see if you can make a few bucks on it. And that was an interesting takeaway I had from the behind the scenes documentary, was that's how they're kind of thinking about these older movies, which means we should see plenty of these coming as more digital backups are created. So I'll leave a link to both the Best Buy Steelbook and the Amazon listing down in the description for Spartacus 4K. It's only about $23 now at release, which is a steal in my opinion. That's a good price. If it does drop to $20, I think that's the sweet spot, so keep an eye on it. That's what Jaws was at $20 pretty soon after release. I think that's a really good price point, so hopefully they can get to that, at least for the standard release. And then, yeah, if you like Steelbooks, this is a pretty sweet Steelbook, so thanks to HiDefNinja for sending that over. I really appreciate it. But, you know, thanks again for watching, guys. I hope this was informative. Let me know what you thought of the new lighting and the audio on this one. Still working through some stuff. But I appreciate you watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment. Let me know if you're going to pick this up or not, because it's a really exciting release for me, and one of the best. Like, I keep saying, like, these are all great, but when you think about it, we're looking at just masterpieces. We're looking at Spartacus, we're looking at Jaws, we're looking at Lawrence of Arabia, Gandhi, Dr. Strangelove. We're looking at these masterpieces recently, and they're all killing it, as they should, which means studios are doing a proper job, at least from Sony and Warner and Universal, that side of things. So props to everyone at Universal in this release. Thought it was really great. But that's all I have to say about that. So make sure you follow me on Instagram. Check out the other links down in my description. Again, you can buy this through the links, and it helps support my channel if you purchase through Amazon. But other than that, hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thanks for watching.